Here we go again. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't, I do Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Last week was better than the week before, Grossi, and today we are going to be breaking down every single game heading into week 6 of the NFL season. But before we get to that, last week I went 8-6, which is a hell of a lot better than the losing record I had the week before. And that brings me to a record of 41-37 on the season, so still not good, but trending in the right direction. You know who else is trending in the right direction? The 3 top leaders in the Pick'em League, which, by the way, we have over 25,000 people in the Pick'em League. I guess you can still join. The link is still in the description if you want to. It's free. It's fun. We have a grand old time. But Alan Coleman, Tom Combs, and Asher Sports, with a record of 54-24, are sitting atop the standings in the Pick'em League. Congratulations to you 3. Keep on rocking it. And I hope to be as good as you one day. So starting off with Thursday Night Football, you got a divisional matchup, which honestly, this could be one of the better games of the week, at least the more unpredictable games. You got the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. The 49ers blew another game in the fourth quarter.
Oh, no. Not again.
Shanahan, what is with you in the 10-point lead? Why? Just win games. But the 49ers, listen, they're banged up right now. They're definitely injured. But losing to the Arizona Cardinals in a very winnable game. I want to give all the props to the Cardinals because Kyler Murray definitely played well in that game. But 49ers, that was a game that they should have won. Their red zone offense was absolutely abysmal. Brock Purdy didn't have the greatest day, and it just looked like the 49ers are in a funk right now. But they're not the only ones, because don't worry, the Seattle Seahawks lost to the frackin' New York Giants last week, a game that I would have considered a lock for the Seahawks to win. After they lost to the Lions, they looked really good in that game, and then they lost to a Malik neighborless Giants. So yeah, both these teams having some issues right now. Both these teams dealing with significant injuries. The Seahawks O-line is just not good. Their D-line is banged up to hell. 49ers are banged up, and this game could go either way. I originally was leaning Seahawks because it's being played at home. That did not help against the Giants. And looking at this game, I think it's going to be whoever can establish the run better is probably going to win. Kenneth Walker really didn't get a lot of opportunities last week, and we do know that Jordan Mason for the 49ers is a really damn good football player. So this could go either way, and right this second, and I don't feel good about it in any way, shape, or form. I really feel like this is a coin flip. I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers to get the win. I just think right now the trenches for the Seahawks, it is not good. And even though both teams could have won last week, I just think the injuries for the Seahawks are a little bit much right now. It sucks when your offense or defensive line can't really do anything. And so because of that, I think the 49ers should be able to score a little bit more easily than they did against the Cardinals. And if they establish that run game, it might be a long day for Seattle. So because of that, I'm going with the 49ers. I think it's going to be a very close game. And yeah, I'll probably be wrong about this one too. Then you got another London game. You got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Chicago Bears. The Jaguars, you finally got a win.
I did it.
Yeah! Oh, and it was not an easy one. Joe Flacco throwing for over 300 yards on that Jaguars secondary. However, the Jaguars able to pull together and get a much needed win, which is their first win in 2024. Yeah, that's not great, but kudos to the Jaguars. They're taking on the Chicago Bears, who have looked better and better these last 3 weeks. You had Caleb Williams in that fourth quarter in the Colts game looking good. He looked good last week. And this past week, he was cooking a bit more. Now, I gotta pump the brakes a little bit because it is against the Carolina Panthers, and we know that they're not a great football team right now. But if you're a Bears fan, this is the kind of progress you want to see from Caleb Williams. They're using Swift more, establishing the run. We know that defense is really good. However, they are going to be without Brisker on Sunday, and being played in London, Trevor Lawrence and that offense has started to look pretty good these past couple of weeks. They went toe-to-toe with the Strouds in a losing effort, and of course, they won last week against the Colts. And this is, I don't want to say a home field advantage for the Jaguars because being played in London, but it's kind of home field advantage. With all that being said, the Bears seem to have all the momentum heading into this game, and I think Caleb Williams should have another good game. However, I am going to go against my gut, which has not worked in the past, and I am going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars to get the win, and here's why. Peterson, yeah, probably on a little bit of a hot seat, but these past 2 weeks, they have been playing much, much better football. And I think if that offense can continue that momentum, and with Brisker out, who's a huge part of that defense, if Trevor Lawrence can get something going, I think the Jaguars might be able to sneak away a win. And so because of that, I'm going with the Jaguars to get the W here. And if not, the NFC North will just remain a bloodbath. Then you got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. The Cardinals having a great win against the San Francisco 49ers last week. Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't do much in that game, but had a clutch catch. James Conner, incredible. Kyler Murray, a huge touchdown run. And I'm happy for the Cardinals because like I've been saying all these weeks, they were my underdog pick to potentially make the playoffs as a wild card team. And it's just fun to see them do well because they have an exciting team. While they definitely have some holes in their roster, they have some great players, and it's always nice to see them do well. They're taking on the Green Bay mother-loving Packers, who, yeah, it came down to the wire last week, got a little bit too close for comfort, but Xavier McKinney, the NFC Player of the Week, who has absolutely been dominant. 5 interceptions in 5 weeks, also had a fumble recovery, and while I'm not completely sold on the Packers pass rush right now, which definitely needs to get better, their offense was humming a little bit. Jordan Love had the most outrageous throw to Jaden Reed, which was not a great decision, but wound up being a fantastic throw. And in the receiving game, they were missing Romeo Doubs, and let's just be honest, we need you back, Romeo.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
What are you talking about? I'm right here. You're looking right at me.
And he's back at practice, so hopefully that's just water under the bridge. But Romeo Doubs being back in the lineup, hopefully Jair Alexander is ready to go as well. He's been out the past 2 weeks. This offense, I'm feeling more and more confident about. And again, if the coverage is better with Jair back, maybe that pass rush is going to have more time to get after the quarterback. However, I think this is going to be a really challenging game for the Packers. Historically, we don't do well against the run. Historically, we don't do well against mobile QBs. The Cardinals have both of those things. They have James Conner and they have Kyler Murray. So it could be a really tough game for the Packers, and I'm not giving them an easy win here whatsoever. However, with some guys coming back like Romeo and hopefully Jair and Jordan Love just another week removed from his injury, I think that the Packers should be able to win this game. Being played at Lambeau, they should have that advantage. And so because of that, I'm going with the Packers to get the win, but I do expect it to be a close game. Following that, you got an AFC South matchup between the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. The Colts, unable to put away the Jacksonville Jaguars last week, which it just makes sense. The curse continues. They can't win. They haven't won in 10 years in Jacksonville. Joe Flacco played great, but listen, some curses are just too much. They're going to be taking on the Tennessee Titans, who were on a bye last week, which will serve them well because they couldn't lose the game. So I'm so sorry, Titans fans. But it does seem like a lot of Titans fans are already done with Will Levis.
I've seen enough. Shut it down.
And the Titans are a weird team. I loved their offseason, but it seems to live and die with Will Levis right now, who is just not playing his best football. Mason Rudolph stepped in previously. However, they said that Will Levis is the guy until he's not. And this division matchup, you never know how this is going to go. However, I do like the Colts in this game. Even though Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson are not practicing, I imagine we're just going to see Joe Flacco again, and he has proven himself more than capable to run that offense. And right now, I just do not trust the Titans. So because of that, I'm going with the Colts to get a big division win. Anthony Richardson can rest up for another week because, you know, Joe Flacco's got it. Then you got the Houston Texans taking on the New England Patriots. Oh, Texans knocking off the Buffalo Bills, and the Strouds showed everyone who they truly are.
You were right about me all along, Mr. Kent. I am the villain of the story.
But that was a close game. CJ Stroud, Stephon Diggs, number one receiver on that team last week against his former team, the Buffalo Bills. And the defense, did not make things easy for Josh Allen, who went 9 of 30 for the day. It was a long day for that Bills offense. And again, we're still waiting for Joe Mixon to come back to make that an even more balanced offense. They're taking on the New England Patriots, who are going to be starting Drake May this week behind that O-line against the defensive front of the Texans.
I'm in danger.
Yeah, I don't see this going well for the Patriots. The Patriots, they lost to the Dolphins last week, and that was an ugly, ugly game. And the Patriots are they're struggling. They're evaluating talent. They're going to see if Drake May is the guy. And going up against this Texans front who gets a ton of pressure, I don't know if this is going to end very well for the Patriots. The Texans are just a more talented team on offense, and their defense is pretty damn good. So because of that, yeah, the Stroud should be able to have a somewhat easy win against the Patriots. And Drake May, I wish you all the best. Then you got an NFC South showdown. This should be a good one. Between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. The Buccaneers, Kirk Cousins threw for over 500 yards on him, and Baker Mayfield had a great game. They had a rushing attack and everything, except they just forgot to bring their defense. They are very much missing Antoine Winfield, very, very much so in that secondary, and they're going to be going up against the New Orleans Saints, who, the Saints offense, they're just trying to recapture that magic from weeks 1 and 2.
I was popular for one glorious fortnight, and then it went away. I don't know what I did wrong.
Unfortunately, I don't know if that magic's going to be coming back this week, as Derek Carr is going to miss at least a couple of games with an oblique injury. And it was announced today that Spencer Rattler would be starting against the Buccaneers. And as a rookie QB, I just believe in the Saints a little bit more in this matchup because their defense is still pretty damn good. I don't think it bodes very well for this Saints offense, which is trying to get back to it. If the run game fails with Kamara, it seems like everything is on the shoulders of Derek Carr. And Carr can definitely sling it, but again, and as we've been talking about these past few weeks, the problem with the Saints has been is that their offense usually gets bogged down and their defense is the one doing all of the work. And that's unfortunately what we've seen these past couple of weeks. This game going up against the Buccaneers, who again are beaten up right now. I do think the Buccaneers have a major advantage here going up against a rookie quarterback, and Baker Mayfield has been playing really well. And with Vita Vea continuing his dominance as he's returned, I think the Buccaneers should be able to win this football game. They don't have to worry about Sean Payton anymore. They already lost to him this year. And so because of that, I'm going with Tampa to get a bounce back win. And sorry, Saints. Then you got the Cleveland Browns taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Browns. Yeah, Deshaun Watson's been so bad, even his lawyers have had enough.
My client should go right to f***ing jail!
He's just not good. That offense is not functioning well. He went and got Ken Dorsey, and Bills fans were like, what the hell are you doing? And there's just a lot of confusion here. Their defense, still very good. However, that offense, they need Nick Chubb back quickly. And also a change of quarterback because they just can't do anything on the offensive side of the ball. Meanwhile, looking at the Eagles were on a bye last week, a much-needed bye, and it looks like Lane Johnson, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown could be back for this game, which hopefully can fix their offense because they need a lot of help there. Nick Sirianni, a lot of Eagles fans are already getting sick of him, and I know there was coordinator issues last year, and they thought, okay, maybe things are a bit better now, but they've had a slow start to this season. The good news is that their division, I don't know how impressive it is, except for the Commanders. However, with this game, I think the Eagles should be able to get a win. It's being played in Philadelphia. Getting these guys back is going to be pivotal for this offense, and they should be able to contain whatever Deshaun Watson is going to do. So because of that, we're going with the Eagles to get the win, and for the Browns, misery continues. Then you got a really intriguing game between the Washington Commanders and the Baltimore Ravens. Both teams coming off a big win last week. The Commanders taking care of business against the Cleveland Browns. Jaden Daniels, their leading rusher, of course, leading passer. And Daniels, in not even his best game, God, it is just so much fun watching him play football. And they got a really big test against the Baltimore Ravens, who were involved in a shootout of epic proportions against the Cincinnati Bengals. This game could have gone the other way very, very easily, but Lamar Jackson just doing Lamar Jackson things, also the Bengals doing Bengals things, allowed them to get the win. And here, what we're really figuring out is who is the better Maryland team. Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson may just have to see who's faster.
We race.
and the loser leaves town for good.
But the Commanders have been on this hot streak. They're the number one team in the NFC East. The Ravens, they're the number one team in the AFC North. And this, I think, is the ultimate test for the Commanders. If the Commanders can somehow pull off the upset here, and it would be an upset because I think that the Ravens defense is better than the Commanders defense, and their offense, while the offense of the Commanders has been great and Jaden Daniels has been good, their run game has been good, they have not played a team like the Ravens yet. If the Commanders are able to win, oh man, it's going to blow the doors open for them, and I'd be so happy for them. However, the Ravens, they've been on a little bit of a hot streak, and I know they could have lost that game very easily last week, but they came back from adversity. Lamar Jackson is playing well. I think the Ravens should be able to win this. If it's even a competitive game, I think that's a really good sign for the Commanders, but I give the edge to the Ravens with their defense, and so because of that, I'm going Baltimore. Then you got an AFC West showdown between the LA Chargers and the Denver Broncos. Chargers had themselves a nice bye week last week, able to get a little bit healthier, and they're still sitting kind of pretty. Yes, they did lose against the Chiefs, and they got shut out 3 of those 4 quarters, but again, they were injured to hell. They're going to be taking on the Denver Broncos, who are coming away with a big win, ending the streak, finally beating the Las Vegas Raiders. And if Broncos fans weren't all in on Sean Payton and Bo Nix, now is the time.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Bo Nix. I believe in Bo Nix.
And this is another game that I think is a total toss-up. The Chargers defense has been really impressive. Their offense, when they get the ground game going, has been really, really good. And they're going to be taking on a Broncos team whose offense has slowly been getting better and better. But most importantly, their defense has been phenomenal. Patrick Surtain is a monster, had that huge pick 6 last week. And that defense, which has honestly just gotten better and better ever since they had 70 points scored on them, I think that is going to be the key to this game. If they can stop the Chargers from running the football, I think the Broncos win this game. I know the Chargers have had the Broncos number, especially when it's in Denver. However, the Denver Broncos just beat one streak. Maybe they could end the reign of another team. And that is what I am going with. I am going with the Denver Broncos to get another win here. It would make it their 4th win in a row. I am believing in Bo Nix, and if not, then I won't pick them again until maybe next week. Broncos win.
I believe in Bo Nix.
Following that, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Vegas Raiders. Both these teams having crushing losses last week. The Steelers, they were in an absolute dogfight that started an hour and a half later than it should have, didn't end until 1 o'clock in the morning. And then they came up short against the Cowboys with Dak Prescott on 4th down connecting with Jalen Tolbert. And it's got to be depressing because, yeah, sure, you got to watch Steelers football. That's depressing in of itself because, good God, that offense is not pretty in any way, shape, or form. But they usually BS their way to a win. And with them coming off a loss, they're going to be looking to take on the Raiders, who they just lost against the Broncos, losing their win streak. They had it for 8 games, and now it is dust in the wind. But the Raiders, that's not their only problem because Devontae has everyone trying to get him out of Vegas right now.
He's a good man, Savannah. A good man. He's just in a bad situation right now, and he's trying to get out of it.
And the Raiders just can't figure it out on offense. Whether it's their QB, their lack of run game, things are an absolute mess. And they're going up against a Steelers offense who, again, it's nothing pretty, but their defense is usually pretty damn good. And today the Raiders announced that Gardner Minshew will be benched. Therefore, Aiden O'Connell will be starting this week against the Steelers. I know that there's some promise with Aiden O'Connell, and we got to see kind of how he's going to play, but he is going up against a very tough Steelers defense. And I think whatever the Raiders are going to throw at him, the Steelers should be able to handle it. I don't think this is going to be a pretty game. I don't think it's going to be a good game. And hell, maybe Devontae Adams will smuggle himself on the plane back to Pittsburgh. But overall, I got the Steelers winning this football game. And Raiders, yeah, I don't know when it's going to get better. Then, you got the Detroit Lions taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, Lions fans, you had the bye last week, but you've been waiting for this game since you met last year.
I'm going to kill each and every one of you, and the only disappointment in it for me is that I only get to do it once.
I just gotta wonder this year if you're gonna be eligible. They're gonna be taking on the Dallas Cowboys, who got that win over the Steelers, as we just mentioned. And again, not a pretty game. Dak did not look great. He threw for a ton of yards, but threw a couple of interceptions, but had the game-winning touchdown throw to Tolbert, and that was as clutch as you possibly could get. And as I said in power rankings, you're living with Dak and you're dying with Dak. And this game should be pretty damn good. It was a fun game last year when they played. The Lions had a bye week to get a little bit healthier, and the Lions have been playing some pretty good football this season. I'm curious to see how both defenses are going to respond here. Are we just going to throw them to the side and kind of have a Seahawks-Lions game? You might see one of those. However, the advantage I give to the Lions is the fact that they have a really good run game. And while the Cowboys were able to establish something near the end of that game against the Steelers, I just don't believe in their running backs right now. You got Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott compared to Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Yeah, the Lions win that battle there. On top of that, I believe in their O-line and their D-line more than the Cowboys right now. And so because of that, I am going with the Lions to get the win here. I just think their offense is a bit more explosive. And of course, you have CeeDee Lamb and Dak, who can always put up points. But if the secondary of the Lions is able to contain CeeDee Lamb, I think they should be able to win this game, get revenge for last year, and this Blue Kitty will finally go meow in Dallas. Following that, you got an NFC South showdown between the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. The Falcons had their big win on Thursday night against the Buccaneers, Kirk Cousins being clutch as hell, and what a freaking game, man. That was just so much fun to watch. You gotta start believing in their offense, and if Kirk Cousins can kind of get that momentum going, of course they have all the talent in the world. I'm curious to see how far they can actually go. They're taking on the Carolina Panthers, who, yeah, their fans had to watch Caleb Williams throw 2 touchdowns to DJ Moore last week.
This deal is getting worse all the time.
I am just so sorry. The Panthers, yeah, they're not a good football team. Bryce Young came in for a little bit of that game, and he had a nice throw to the sideline, so that's good, I guess. But the Panthers, they just seem directionless right now. And yeah, things are not going well. The Falcons, they look like a team that's on the up and up. And even though it's close games that they're winning out, they're winning. And that's the most important thing. So I'm going to go with the Falcons to continue their win streak, even though it's being played in Carolina. They just seem like the overall better team. And Panthers, yeah, again, I'm just sorry. Then on Sunday Night Football, this is a weird-ass game, you got the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the New York Giants. The Bengals, Joe Burrow, threw 5 touchdowns, and they still couldn't get a win.
Whoa. This is worthless.
The defense, unfortunately, of the Bengals is just not good. Their secondary was not good last year. It's not good this year. Their D-line doesn't look as good. And the offense, it was clicking. They were moving the ball. Chase Brown making the most out of his opportunities, getting some touchdowns. But unfortunately, they took the game out of Joe Burrow's hands and they said, no, let's just kick a field goal. This is fine. And I imagine things will be a little bit different this week as they take on the Giants. The Giants, who had a shocking win over the Seattle Seahawks without Malik Neighbors, their defensive line was insanely good. Getting after Geno Smith, not giving him any breathing room, a ton of sacks, Dexter Lawrence looking great, and maybe the Giants are a little bit better than we anticipated. Daniel Jones had himself a hell of a game. And this game being played at MetLife, you never know. However, I still think that the Bengals offense is so explosive. They should just be able to outscore the Giants regardless of how good their D-line is. And I do think they have some weaknesses in their secondary as well. So Joe Burrow, if he's able to get on a tear like he was last week, I imagine they're going to have a different ending than it was to the Ravens game. Bengals should get the win. They'll be 2-4. And yeah, try to save their season. And finally, on Monday Night Football, you got the Buffalo Bills taking on the New Jersey Jets. The Bills threw it 3 straight times out of their own end zone and gave the ball back to the Strouds.
Next time I have an idea like that, punch me in the face.
What are we doing? Josh Allen did not have a great game. The game plan was not good. And yeah, the Bills, while they went toe-to-toe with the Strouds and could have at least sent that game into overtime, could not get it done. And the Bills have now lost back-to-back games. One was against the Ravens and now against the Texans, who are 2 good football teams. And I don't think it's a reflection on the Bills and how far they can go this season. However, I think it shows that they need to clean some stuff up. They're going against the New Jersey Jets, who just freaking fired their head coach, Robert Saleh. You do have Ulbrich, who has taken over, their former defensive coordinator, as interim head coach. And I think the number one question is not what are you doing, but how is this going to fix the offense? Aaron Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show today and was saying, like, he's going to be a steady hand, and, little things that he changes, talk about that accountability and talking about the penalties that the Jets have been having. But at the end of the day, their offense is not producing. Aaron Rodgers throwing interceptions, no run game whatsoever against the Vikings last week, and they just did not look like a great football team. Their defense is going to be good, and I think under Ulbrich it'll continue to be good, but there are so many questions on the offensive side of the ball. Are they going to go get Devontae Adams? Is their offensive line going to get better? Is Rodgers going to play better? Is Breece Hall going to get the ball more? All of these things are a factor. Now, it is being played in MetLife, which back-to-back primetime games for MetLife. What could go wrong with that field? And you do think that maybe the firing of the head coach is going to spur that team to victory, even though Saleh couldn't even say goodbye to his own players. But I am going to have the Bills get this win here. I know the Jets have a very good defense, and the Bills were not great on offense last week. However, I just don't believe in the offense of the Jets right now. They had that really good game against the Patriots, and since then, it hasn't been great, and I just need them to prove it. Right now, after losing to two good teams in a row, I think the Bills have their rebound. Josh Allen has to play better, and even the Vikings didn't look good against this Jets defense. You gotta hope that Josh Allen can be the difference maker there. So it's a little bit of a risk, but I'm going with the Bills on Monday night to get the win, and yeah, Jets fans, let's hope that you made the right decision. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who do you think is winning these games this week? And let me know how you're doing in rankings, because it's probably better than I am. But let me know. You guys saw me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy, all social media, see down below. A big shout out and thank you to all the Patreon and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.